I want to demonstrate where you would root your chords. As guitarists, we root information off the 6th or 5th string, especially with chord voicings. We'll base it off what the 1 chord is. If the 1 chord, which is the key you're in, is rooted off the 6th string, then the 4 chord will always be in the same fret on the 5th string, and the 5 chord will always be 2 frets higher. Therefore, your roots for a 12-bar blues in the key of G, if 1 is on the 6th string, here's your 1, the G, there's C the 4, D the 5. Let's do another one. If you're playing a blues in the key of B flat, go to the B flat, 6th fret of the 6th string, that's your 1. Your 4 would be E flat, your 5 would be F. Now when you start getting up into other keys, it gets a little thumpy. I say that because it's large diameter string, it's short in length and it gets thumpy sounding. It can get cramped. So you may have a bit of an inconvenience if you're trying to play a 12-bar blues in the key of D and you root off the 6th string. There's your 1, your 4, and your 5. It's going to get kind of squeezed up. So then we revert to a 5th string root. Go to D on the 5th string. Your 4 chord will always be 2 frets lower and down 1 string. And then of course 4 and 5 are always a whole step apart. So you have these 2 triangles. Let's review. If you're rooting off the 6th string, remember that 1 and 4 are in the same fret, and then 5 is 2 frets higher. The reverse is true if the 1 chord is on the 5th string root. Here's F, that's my 1 chord in the key of F. My 4 chord is 2 frets lower, over on the 6th string, and then back to my 5 chord. So make sure before you go any further that you know these patterns just with the bass lines. And if you're new to playing the blues or you're just getting started on guitar and you have this course, go through and play the progressions with just the bass line. You got to hear that. There's more to this than learn how to operate your fingers and see the information on the neck. You've got to hear this stuff. So if you're playing a 12-bar blues, there's my 1, there's my 4. And I'm a big fan of every guitar player learning how to play some bass and understand what's happening from the ground up anyway, but that's another whole story. All right, now then the next thing you would do after you've gotten your bass line squared away, you would then implement the guide tones. Time for some theory. If we play an A7 chord, for example, the chord consists of 4 tones, a root, a third, a 5th, and a flat 7. Now you probably already know your roots and 5ths, power chords. Take those away, what are you left with? Thirds and flat 7s. That interval is a tritone. That means 3 whole steps or 6 half steps. That divides the octave equally into 2 equal parts. Therefore, they invert perfectly all the way across. Notice that the shape only changes when we go to the 2nd and 3rd strings. These guide tones are critical because they establish the color of a dominant 7th chord. You need to see these. So let's tack these guide tones on top of our bass line. And this will give you a great 3-note structure, especially if you were doing a duet with another guitar player or you're comping for somebody. You won't get in their way. If I play an A7 chord, this is a big block 6-voice chord. It has 6 notes, 6 strings, 6 voices. It's dense. There's nothing wrong with that, but I need to know how to play lean. Here's my bass line, and then my guide tones will be flat 7 and 3. So I have this structure, many different fingerings, whatever I need, depending upon what fingers I need free. But the point is that this would always be a dominant 7th voicing, root off the 6th string. It does not have a 5th, so it's open for a sharp or a flat 5 as well as a natural 5. It doesn't get in the way of anything, and if you've got a bass player that's walking, what do? You don't even play the bass note. You just go. See how effective that is for when you have a walking bass line. These are again charted out, but you have to first play these progressions with these 3-note structures. Well, I said first play it with a bass line. That's if you're just getting off the ground. But if you're playing guitar already, take these 3-note voicings. All right, we only need one other voicing to get you going with a 5th string root. It comes right out of this little C7 shape. Here's your root on the 5th string, and here are the guide tones. Therefore, let's review. If I said I'm playing a 12-bar blues in the key of G, I'm going to root G on the 6th string. Here's my 1, my 4, and my 5. I have a G7 structure right here, root, flat 7, 3. Then to go to my 4 chord, I go over to the same fret, over to the 5th string. Here's my root. Then I have a 3rd and a flat 7. And then that same structure would serve for my 5 chords. So I have a 1, 7, 4, 7, 5, 7. Notice my fingering on this. 1st, 2nd, and 4th fingers. That way, my 2nd and 4th fingers are guide fingers when I move down to my 4 chord. 3rd finger was free. And likewise, I just slide up, so it's a quick, easy change. So the first lesson I'm going to give you as far as moving your fingers is to take what I just played and master it. I don't usually use that word, but you need to get this solid, and then you won't have any struggle playing this. Let's do it in another key, key of B flat. I just played 1, 4, 5, 1. I'm in B flat, here's my 1, there's my E flat, the 4, there's F, the 5. So I have this same structure, same format I did earlier, and that would cover any key, 12-bar blues, where you're rooting the 1 off the 6th string. We'll close this lesson, this segment, by saying what happens when the root is on the 5th string. And by that I mean for the 1 chord. You're going to use the same two shapes. Here's 1, because I'm in the key of D. Here's G, that's my 4. A is my 5. Well, there's my structure when I have a dominant 7th chord root off the 5th string. There's my structure off the 6th string. See how cozy that is? Now there are other voicings, 3-note voicings, that take you up a little higher. I'll show you those later on when we start doing a lot of chord voicing ideas. But if you start with this, then you'll use the charts and add other tones on top. I'm not going to take time now because as we play, I will show you how to view things.